looked past Coughlin and saw Brady leave his office desk in the back corner of the squad room. He put on his jacket and headed up to the center aisle towards the front of the room. Coughlin got up from Cappy's desk as Brady passed and joined me at our desk. Brady took the floor, his blonde white hair pulled back in a pony, his denim shirt tucked, his dark jacket unbuttoned. I couldn't read his expression. Brady took the center stage at the front of the squad room, facing the dozen homicide cops from the day shift, another dozen cops from the night shift, and more were coming in. Cops from other departments leaned against the wall, sat in empty chairs, or perched in the corners of the desk, all quietly waiting for Brady to drop the bomb. When the anticipation had stretched so thin it was starting to thrum, Brady said, "I know the wait time has been hard on everyone. I did my best to hold things together with your help. My wife says I look like I've been dragged behind a car. I feel a little like that, but I was of two minds. Now, y'all, I know I've been running up and down the stairs, changing hats and landing. I was asked to choose fourth or fifth, but if I could have kept both of my jobs, I would have done it. But in the interest of safety, public good and welfare, and living to see my 40th birthday, I've decided to hand my hat in homicide." Big sigh of relief from me, and a spontaneous round of applause and hooting from the squad. I said loud enough for Brady to hear, "So glad, Brady. That was a sacrifice." "No," he said. "It was selfish. I just couldn't move into Jacoby's swell office and push paper. I'm a street cop, and I like being part of the action." Laughter came up from all around the room. It was like a sunshine breaking through the cloud when I realized we hadn't heard the rest of the story. "Who is our new police chief?" Anticipating the question, Brady said, "And that leaves the last shoe. I make it to be size 11 medium wide. Currently filled by a former homicide cop from LA and Vegas who for the last dozen years has been heading up our Forcenic lab. A Bly with good humor, not prideful, but we know he's a first-class CSI. I took a minute from the parts to come together, and then I got it. I had just never considered Charlie Clapper as chief of police, but damn, he was an excellent choice." Brady was saying, "At this point, I'm supposed to draw back the curtains and say about a former cop and a highly respected Forcenic scientist." Round of applause for our own Charlie Clapper and the police chief, SFPD. But I forgot to get certain, and Clapper isn't here. He's going to be across the street at MacBrain's second floor private room reserved for alla us from noon to 2. No cover charge. Beers on the house. If there are any questions, we'll get y'all answered in good time. Coughlin got to his feet and said, "Brady, if you had anything to do with recommending Clapper for the chief job, I just want to say, hot dog, he's a good choice. And all in the family. And I'm glad you're staying with us." Coughlin and I walked across the street at the appointed time, still stunned by the breaking news, but pleased. We both liked Clapper a lot, and he was a solid pro. Never a showboat. I remember so many cases where he'd been the Forcenic specialist. When hamburgers had become bombs, we dug up frozen decapitated heads in the backyard. When he'd gone through the exploded science museum where my husband Joe had almost been killed, he'd taken us through the crime scene and pointed out things he thought we'd ought to know. The bottom line, Charlie Clapper had never let us down. Richie held the door for me at McBain's, and we entered the favorite watering hole for Hall of Justice workers. From court stenographers to the motorcycle police, at lunch, the ancient jukebox was cracked up, and the place was packed to the walls. But we didn't have to look for a table. We headed straight up the stairs to the second floor, where it was clear that the party had already started. A buffet had been set up, with hot plates and servers. Tables were arranged around the room, and a lot of cops were attended, not just from the homicide, but every section at the hall. Although 100 people were there, including Brady, everyone with a glass in their hand, I waved to Clapper as we passed, and he waved back. When everyone from Lieutenant Tom Murray in Major Crimes to Lieutenant Lana Harvises, from Special Victims to D.A. Len Parisi had a plate and was seated, Brady clicked his glass with a spoon. He had our attention. He said, "Charles Clapper, former director of our Forensics unit, needs no introduction. Most of you have hung on his shirt tails as he ran crime scenes, questioned him on witness stands, relied on him for his wisdom when a crime was so unbearable awful you didn't know whether to puke or bawl your eyes out. Starting tomorrow morning, Charlie is going to take over the chief of police and move into the fancy office on the 5th floor. You all are stuck with me heading up to homicide. Charlie, please take it from here." There was applause and shouts and "Way of goes, Charlie." And a minute later, Clapper had a drink in his hand. As always, Clapper was perfectly dressed, his hair cut and combed, a mirror shine on his shoe. He stood with one hand in his pocket as he said, "Thanks, everyone, for that very kind welcome to the job. None of you want or would take the pain of death." When the laughter died down, Charlie went on, as Lieutenant Brady said, "I've known some of you for more than 15 years, and I'm glad that I had much time to learn the SFPD and be of help to putting the wicked ones behind bars. Now I've got a different job. The number one task the mayor has given me is to rebuild the Southern Station. Most of you have lived through the corruption of our good name. Our robbery and narcotics departments are thin. I have some major recruiting to do. I'm a perfectionist. I do things by the book. That's how I pull CSU back from the brink, and why I was drafted for this job. Here's what it means to you. The by-the-book rules are in effect. Color within the lines, but in every last button. And keep thorough notes. Keep your phones and radios on, and keep your eyes and ears open. Stay in touch with dispatch or your CO. I love you all, but effective immediately. Love's got nothing to do with it. I have to be an enforcer." As the party was breaking up, I checked in with Lieutenant Tom Murray, head of the missing persons. Tom sounded hoarse and worn up as he told me that now that his search has passed the 24-hour mark, he was expanding the canvas. Tara Brooke and her kiddo are still missing. We are following every dumbass lead. The hounds alerted on a dead cat, but that was all. We are running plates around Brooke's house, and Lucas is cooperating. Has offered other places we can look. We'll be at this all night. I commiserated, asked if he wanted any help. Yes. I called Joe to remind him that I was having dinner with the girls tonight, and I researched Lucas Brooke. My search was limited to the internet and our police files, but there was some new background from a bio he had given in a speech I found online. I learned Lucas's mother and sister had died when Lucas was in grade school. But his father, Evan Brooke, was still alive and had not remarried. Lucas taught at Sunset Park Prep, a private girls' school in the Sunset District. 3 years ago, Brooke divorced his wife of 10 years and married Tara Wyatt. Lori was Brooke's only child. I highlighted the names and places, saved the research into a file, and went to go find Brady. Brady wasn't in his office. It was second nature to head up to the 5th floor. I asked squad assistant for Brenda Ferguson to let Rich know I'd be back in a few. I found Clapper in his new office, an office I'd been in so many times. I was on the first name term with the dust bunnies under the sofa. I said, "Got a minute, Chief?" Clapper waved me in. Piles of paper covered his desk. There was a cardboard banker's box stacked along the window wall, labeled by date and marker pen, lids taped in place. Those would be Clapper's papers, yet to be filed. A change from his usual, but I got it. The man was organized. His job in Forcenix had been a perfect match for his personality type. Brady had been overwhelmed and not organized by nature. It would take Clapper a few days to see the desktop and get the files up to speed. I pulled out a side chair and sat down. I briefed him on my last case in 2 sentences. We commiserated in 1. Then I said, "Chief, a woman came to Sidney Thomas's office yesterday, claiming that her daughter and 16-month-old grandchild were missing. She believes that her son-in-law is violent and could have killed them." "Thomas called you?" "Yep, I spoke with the complainant and I spoke with the officer in charge, Lieutenant Tom Murray, and he hasn't turned up anything yet. Hounds are out, drones too. Canvass of the neighborhood and the schools where the husband works. Now over 20 hours have passed." Clapper sat back in the desk chair. He said, "I'm aware, Boxer, and I know Lieutenant Murray to be thorough. What are you asking?" "I want to bring in the husband for questioning, see if I can detect a falsehood. Maybe I can break him." Clapper cut me short. "Correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't your case." Murray interviewed the husband. "Yes, but he didn't get anything from him." "Boxer, it's Murray's case. He's working on it." "What did I say earlier?" "Many things. I said stay in your lane. If your board is empty, it won't be for long. Don't call me, Boxer. Have Brady call me. That's the chain of command." I was insulted and hurt. I felt my cheeks heat up as I stood from the chair and went to the door. Clapper didn't look up, didn't say goodbye, or thanks, or see you around. When I got back to the bullpen, Brenda had a message for me. She said softly, "The lady over at your desk is looking for you. Name is," without seeing her, I said, "Kathleen Wyatt." "Bingo," said Brenda. She made a little circle with her index finger next to her temple. Universal sign for crazy. Hello, if you all liked this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It took me a while and my neck hurts from sitting up over the book. I put a link to the book in the description if you want to check it out on Amazon. Get it for yourself. I hope you all enjoyed. I love you all. Bye-bye.